welcome back to Vintage 12 here at Embassy Suites on Kingston Plantation. I got a really cool recipe for you today. You often ask yourself, there's a party in the neighborhood, you want to bring something cool, but you want it to be different, you want it to be handmade. You don't want to go to the store and just get something frozen. So you want to do something neat, but you're thinking, I don't want to spend all day doing it either. None of us do, not even an executive chef, right? Because when I go to a party, they expect me to bring something really, really cool. I can't just bring quiche, right? So I'm going to show you a trick that I like to use. It takes very little preparation and makes you come off like a rock star. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap some asparagus in some puff pastry, and we're going to bake it, a little bit of cracked salt on there, and we're going to make a Sriracha aioli, right? That sounds really complicated. It's not complicated. This is one of those moments where I pull back the curtain and show you the secret, and you go, really? That's it? That's it. So let's first start off with the asparagus. You want to get something a little bit big, right? Jumbo, because the little pencil stuff isn't going to hold up to what we're going to do with it. So we're going to do two different cooking processes with this. So the first thing we're going to do is blanch and shock it. This helps to do a couple of things. It cooks it a little bit and it retains the color for what we're going to do to it later. You often find sometimes when you cook asparagus, it comes out of the water great and it's nice and bright and green, and then about 5 minutes later, due to the residual cooking process, it's yellow, it's kind of mushy, it doesn't taste good anymore. So what we do as chefs is we blanch and shock it. So blanching is just dipping it into boiling water for just a little bit. You're going to see when the color becomes more pronounced is when you're going to pull it out. So I've just got a little bit of water here. Do me a favor though, always remember, right? Salt, that means salt. Salt your water before you do that. So we're going to drop it in there, and it's only going to take a couple of seconds to get that done. So while that's blanching, what I've done is I've gone to my favorite grocery store and I bought some puff pastry. Right? You're going to find it in the freezer aisle, or you can make it, but it's a little complex to make at home. I don't even make it at home. It lasts forever in your freezer, and it's just a good item to have around because it's very versatile. So go get yourself some puff pastry. And what I want you to do is think of a pencil, right? I want you to cut it kind of the width and length of a pencil. Right? It's going to be nice and soft. You don't want to leave it sit out too long because it'll get a little kind of a skin on it, and then it won't wrap around the asparagus. So even just in that short little time of talking about that, our asparagus is ready to go. How I know that is that the color has changed dramatically. It's more pronounced now. It's a darker, richer green. So you can see it's just got that little bit of softness to it. It's no longer really rigid. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in an ice bath. Just regular old ice water, nothing real complicated. And what that's going to do is it's going to cool that down rapidly, but it's going to lock that color in, right? So now I know exactly where it's cooked, right? It's a little bit soft, and now I know the color's locked in. And we can get to the fun stuff, right? So it only takes not even 30 seconds for that to be ready to go. So I'm going to dry it off just a little bit, just kind of slap it on the cutting board, right? Because you don't want that water to interfere with the ability of the puff pastry to adhere to the asparagus. So I'm just going to start at the tip, and what I'm going to do is just give that a little press into the head of the asparagus, and what that's going to do is it's going to hold it on there. And then all I do is just kind of candy cane that stripe down, right? Just like a barber's pole. And then at the end, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to push that just a little bit. And what that's going to do is allow that puff pastry to adhere to the asparagus. So we'll go over that once again, right? Dry it off just a little bit. Push that in to the top of the asparagus. Heck, it's so easy, it almost does itself, right? If I just sat here and went like that, it'd probably do itself. So we go all the way around. And then at the end, give it another push, right? So now we've got these cool looking stuff, right? So once again, hey, TV magic, nobody wants to watch an oven just bake, right? So we'll do the whole, Josh is going to make me look good here. I'm going to run it back, put that in a 350 degree oven, and people often ask me, well, how long is it going to take? I don't know. I haven't been to your house. I haven't seen your oven. I don't know what you're working with. I know how long it's going to take in my oven. So the best thing I can do is tell you, how do I know when it's done? And this is usually where people look at me like, really? Come on. When it's brown, it's done. It's just that easy. I wish it was more complicated. I really wish it was more technical. It's not. One of my cooks asked me one time, I said, how do I know when the pizza's done? And he looked at him and I said, have you ever eaten pizza? And he's like, yeah, chef, I've eaten pizza. I'm like, well, it's done when it looks like a done pizza. Sorry, it's that easy. I know, it sounds like I'm being condescending, but I'm not. It's that easy. When it's brown, it's done. So these go onto a little baking sheet. Maybe put a little pan spray on there because you don't want it to stick to the pan. And when you're taking it off, you definitely want to use a spatula because you don't want to leave the puff pastry on the pan and just pull the asparagus out, right? So while that's cooking, and I know I didn't move yet, trust me, it's cooking. We're gonna make that Sriracha aioli. Wow, does that sound cool, right? It's got a bunch of little syllables in there that make it Sriracha aioli. When we say aioli, think mayonnaise. It's basically all it is. I'm not going to make my own mayonnaise. If you want to make your own mayonnaise, you can. It's really simple, easier than you think. All you need is a whisk, a bowl, and a little imagination. You might need some egg yolks and some oil and some other stuff, but pretty easy to make your own mayonnaise. If you do make your own mayonnaise, remember to use pasteurized egg yolks because there's bad stuff in eggs that you don't want in your mayonnaise. But for this, I'm just going to pretend that we already made the mayonnaise. So, highly technical, Sriracha aioli coming up. I'm going to say 1 cup of mayonnaise, a bunch of Sriracha. That's it, right? Sriracha aioli. It tells you what's in it, right? It's like when you're making gin and tonic, right? What's in it? Gin and tonic. So Sriracha aioli. Aioli, Sriracha. Often referred to as hipster ketchup. I love it. So whisk a little bit. Takes on a really nice color. It's really cool. Kind of got that like little pink kind of thing going to it. And what we're going to do is put that in a little bit of vessel here. And because we want it to be cool, we're going to top it a little bit with a little more Sriracha. I think I'm just going to use the phrase, when is it enough Sriracha? When the bottle's empty. That's when it's enough Sriracha. So, magic of TV. Woohoo! Here we go. All right, so we're going to get a close-up of this later, but I'm just going to show you kind of the design that came out on that, right? So now it's perfect finger food, right? You're at the cocktail party, you're trying to look cool, you know, you got your little pinky out, you're talking to your friends, right? You're able to pick this up with one hand, dip it in that Sriracha aioli. Woo! You are a genius. Everybody's going to be like, how did you make those? Where did you buy those? I want the recipe. Tell them to go onto the website, you can get the recipe. So, once again, shocking, blanching, shocking, right? Wrapping, baking, mixing, you're done. And you're a hot shot at the cocktail party. All right, so if you ever want to try this and you don't want to make it, come down to Vintage 12, Embassy Suites, Kingston Plantation, and come see me. Thanks.